you. We need to provide direction to staff on what type and how to conduct the community meetings at which the traffic calming measures for Horton Street would be discussed. This is our action on the Transportation Committee report.
I have a question. I drive that road almost every day. I don't see very much activity on Horton Street. And I'm just was wondering, I can't recall, I know that there were some traffic studies that were done a number of years ago, but I just question how much traffic's going on that street, so.
Do you mean how many cars, automobiles?
Yeah, because.
Well, we have traffic counts that show it's more than.
It's exceeded
the Bike Boulevard.
Really,
Yeah, well, I know Maurice isn't here, but maybe.
It's hard to believe. I just.
We could shoot a gun down there most of the time.
Well, I think the real problem is Hollis, and so, I mean, if we had a stoplight in Hollis, I think that would expedite people going through, which would probably eliminate people taking Horton Street. So that was my other idea. Because if we had a stoplight just one block from here, that's where the traffic really kind of builds up.
Well, so in terms of providing direction to staff on a community meeting, how do we determine who are the users of Horton Street? We know we'll have a flood of the bicycle contingent out at the community meeting, but how you reach those people who drive on that street, I haven't a clue, unless you have a big sign.
Well, the committee had actually two matters. The first one was item C on the traffic calming of Horton, and where temporary diverters will be placed at Horton and 45th and at Horton and Stamford, and the committee is seeking the council's direction how to solicit the input and the public notification on it.
Have we never installed temporary measures before?
We're reacting to the Triangle traffic calming incidents of several before I was on the council.
Okay, I understand.
Right? I'm sure Nora could tell us about that.
Charlie.
I think what we typically would do in this case would be to notify all the adjacent property owners up and down Horton Street, such as Wareham and Novartis and Griffles and Sherwin-Williams and the Artist Co-op and everybody else who has property along there.
We have a process for
Yeah, it would. We don't have a process for notifying people who drive through town, so I'm not sure how we would do that.
Well, we might be wanting to notify the Amtrak people.
Yeah, right. Everybody who has property along Horton Street.
Yeah.
So I think.
I mean, in other jurisdictions, I've seen signs posted on, and I'm talking pretty good sized signs of notice of a, transportation committee meeting regarding X and the date of the meeting. So, I mean,
I think it'd be a very good idea to have a couple of those along Horton.
Yeah. And I think the key, and we discussed this at the Transportation Committee, was to make sure that there was a time that was set aside, whether it was a study session before City Council, if it was a Saturday morning, but to have a designated time where we would be able to reach people and have them come and share this. So it's not, at 10:45 on a long City Council agenda. And it'll probably, what we're trying to do is to prepare a scope of work, because we already have funding to pay for engineers to look at designing this traffic calming, but we don't want to pay all the money and then get public input. We'll need to do a little bit of both.
Right.
But having some input, am I incorrect? Was it that we're designing it first and then getting public input? I'm actually forgetting because we discussed both.
Maurice knows.
And Maurice isn't here to.
We ought to get the public input first. How soon are we going to have this community meeting? How soon
We
can
wanted to do it in September, I thought was what we had suggested.
So that means we have to get to work fairly soon to notify all the property owners and get the big signs to put on the
big
screen.
Signs.
But I think what we recommended, and maybe I'm confusing the BPAC committee with the transportation, but that we recommended that the engineers, since we have this money to help pay for this design, that we would have them. This was the BPAC recommendation, that we would have them actually design a diverter at 45th and Horton, design one at Stanford and Horton, and then other traffic calming measures in between. Not that they would all be put in place until we heard from the public. That was the BPAC's recommendation, but the Transportation Committee, which I think at this meeting, perhaps it was just me, was asking for council input on that.
I can guarantee you'll hear from the public after you put them in place.
No, I didn't say put them in place. I said design them. Don't put them in place. But we have a certain amount of funds to pay for the engineering design, and sometimes it's hard for the public to know what it would look like until it's designed. You only have the concept otherwise, and what this would be and how it would be.
Are these diverters designed to be portable, or are they designed to be fixed in place permanently?
They're temporary.
They're temporary until.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then you
very
get-
good.
So it's a 2-year kind of temporary measure.
Okay.
I think signs and notifying people are, that's
And do we want to set a date in September? Second Saturday in September?
sure.
If you're going to give direction, give direction.
Yeah.
I think I have a problem with that too, because, you know, a lot of people, we sometimes forget we have a commercial market here in town. And so most of those commercial people might not want to be here on a Saturday. So I would think you'd almost have to have 2 meetings. Because of, you know, I mean, we do have commerce in the city. And so when you start talking about dividers and calming, we have a lot of traffic that has to get in town and out of town. And, you know, if we were constricting anymore, then we're going to have traffic someplace else. So all I'm saying is that we have industry in town that's still here, that I think we need to make sure that their voice is heard too.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt
Maybe-
about that.
Maybe coming to the transportation meeting, since that's not on a weekend.
Well, it's
Well,
9
if it's-
a.m. on a Tuesday, which is not
it's 9
convenient
a.m.
for
Yeah, that's not great.
everyone.
Well, I think in some ways that's more.
For the commercial interest,
Sure.
you could have it at the Transportation Committee meeting at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, and then for the public, for the residents, you could have it the second Saturday in September.
I would prefer that, yes.
All right.
Okay.
Maybe because our Transportation Committee is is it the 4th Tuesday? 3rd or 4th Tuesday? I'm not remembering right now.
Fourth Tuesday.
4th Tuesday? Maybe we could have it on the 3rd or 4th Saturday so that they're just close together.
Right, good.
That gives you another week.
What time?
And clarifying whether that is with, I mean, I don't think we'd have engineering designs by that time, so it would be on the concept.
But we do want the big signs to put up there.
Need some
And I want to,
And Michael, you
Michael's
can
gonna
prepare
make
them because it was your idea.
you suggested.
I see that we have public comment, but I want to make one other comment about this discussion that happened,
Yeah.
which was that there was a safety manager from Federal Express who was there at our meeting
Right.
for a different item, actually. But it was good that she was there because we discussed how much direction is given to drivers as to routes, and that's one of the issues actually that comes up on Horton. Bicycle riders feel like delivery trucks go very quickly often on Horton, and it goes straight to their facility on Overland. And she hadn't heard that before and was excited to work with us, and I think was going to spend time with the police department talking about directing drivers in terms of routes. And so that was very exciting to me, also in terms of parking and loading zones and blocking bike lanes, et cetera. So it felt like we were starting a new conversation there, which could be very fruitful.
Well, it is 25 miles an hour, so I mean, if they're speeding down there, then we should have the officers down there writing tickets.
We can't do that unless we do a speed control table study.
Correct.
Yeah, we have to.
Really?
So we can't do that.
And get a traffic unit.
Oh, I think somebody wants to talk.
Okay.
Public comment?
Yeah, somebody does. A couple of comments. I think first is a process problem. The staff applied for a grant without the approval of the council. So you got the grant approved, suppose the council didn't want to go ahead with it. You'd have egg in your face and you might not get another grant in the future. So I don't think any grants should go anywhere without the approval or knowledge of the city council. Secondly, what is the problem we're trying to solve? We're going to put in diverters. We're going to disrupt everybody's life. For what? What is the goal here? I mean, I don't see it. And you have approved development there. You have approved projects. How does it impact those? Don't you have to do some kind of a study? I mean, those developments were approved based on a certain amount of traffic flow. Well, if that can't happen, then how's it going to work? Are you really going to build Sherwin-Williams and now restrict the movement in the street? So you're going to put all that traffic on Hollis. Is that really a good idea? What are we trying to solve here? I just don't see the problem. And if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Can I just respond that council knew about the
Grant,
the
yeah.
grant application?
Our main north-south bicycle route through Emeryville is on Horton Street. Horton Street, this is a little anecdotal, but I think the traffic counts will get close to something like this, that bicycle and pedestrian traffic on Horton Street is now approaching 30% of vehicle trips. And the problem we're having is we're getting through traffic driving, especially north, at such a rate that it's becoming dangerous on Horton Street for bicyclists. And when you get traffic, especially at rush hour, going at a high speed, we're not making a friendly street through our city for bicyclists, and it's an important thing for our region to have the route available as a throughway for cyclists to go through, especially into Oakland and through to Berkeley. And it's really a major route. It's becoming more of a major route every year. And the problem with a bicycle boulevard, when you get a high volume of traffic on it, you get confusion about where the bicyclists ride and where the drivers are, and it's key to have a slower street. And traffic calming, the next stage that our award-winning bicycle and pedestrian plan says would slow traffic down, would discourage a lot of through traffic. So we're not talking about stopping traffic, we're talking about managing traffic. And that's what the purpose of this study is. And I think that the designs will show us a way to go forward where we'll be able to have automobile traffic, truck traffic, and bicycle and pedestrian traffic managed better than we currently have it. So that's the point of this. So I really think we're going to proceed and go forward on it.
Thank you. Anyone else? No.
We provided direction.
We did that.
I'd like to approve the placement of the bicycle corral.
I'll second that.
All right.
Anyone opposed?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Communications and reports, department heads?